Braddy Bradshaw Kellett, man, you were like my rock star out there. You kept all the anarchists informed for our coverage of the Sydney Hobart race this year, and I can't thank you enough. It was awesome to hear your voice. You were really open with us and sailed down on this beautiful old Brindabella. What, 20 years old?
20 years old this October. Thanks, Clean. I really enjoyed doing the updates for you, and it was really exciting doing the film and trying to get it through to you in our old school, no satellite communication dinosaur.
You just wait until you get close enough to shore.
Yeah, we're checking Wi-Fi, internet, you beauty, bang, off it goes.
So tell us about the race down. Obviously, this one had a little bit of everything. You had some glamour days and some brutal days. Let's hear about it.
After 22 years, I've never been over the start line early in the Rolex Sydney Hobart, and this year was my first. Yelled over to the start boat that was sitting at South Head after we finally got around to South Head, miles behind the fleet, second last boat out of the harbour, and just yelled over, "You're not trying hard enough if you're not over." Occasionally got a bit of a cheer from them. The owner of the boat looked at me like, "Come on, Bradshaw, we should be up there somewhere," but oh, that's life, that's ocean racing.
Well, I mean, it was my first, obviously my first time being there, checking it out.
I saw a bit of your footage.
And the chop was unbelievable. When you get to the heads there, it's unbelievable. At the back of the fleet, it had to have been absolute hell. How do you get through that shit?
Boxing Day is a huge day. Even before the ACS, you have all the choppers to contend with, and you have on this boat 23 crew that don't really like listening to one person. So between all of that stuff, we get through it. And fortunately, we're on an 80-foot boat that gets through the chop pretty nicely. And if the forward hands get wet, that's their problem. But we're pretty used to getting wet on Boxing Day. No matter the conditions, we're normally always starting with wet weather pants on, just because you want to stay dry for at least half of the first day.
But once outside, it was a lovely day, right?
Yeah, we didn't get water over the deck, and then we got the parking lot down near Jarvis Bay. That was pretty interesting. Because we left the harbour late, we weren't able to stick to our game plan, which was to head out to sea and try and get into the current. The breeze had shifted, and we would have been heading east and still coming last. So we made the decision to tack straight away and head south, Hobart south, and that's the way we go. We got crawled back up to like 5th or 6th or 7th or something on line honours north-south, and we were pretty happy with that, knowing the whole time that it wasn't going to last long. We had a really good night till midnight and sailed really consistently, plugging away in the pressure that we had. And then at midnight we just got parked for 4 or 5 hours, and I think we did something like 5 miles in 6 hours, so it's pretty frustrating. But this race was just beautiful. I had more sleep than I've ever had before until the fan started spinning.
Now you're the sailing master and the boat captain, and you got to fix everything, and there was plenty to fix. You lost your wind instruments, is that right?
Plenty of rough and guts engineering. Well, we did a rig check today. The gear's still up there, but the connection's not so good. So sometimes we had 55 knots of breeze, and then we had 12, even though there was still 55 knots of breeze. I was like, yeah, something's going on here. But we got a whole bunch of old school sailors and skiffies on board, and we just went about doing what we had to do to get through the heavy stuff. At the end of the day, it's all about getting to Hobart, and when you get 55 knots in Bass Strait, just have to deal with it.
Yeah. So I know there was people up in the cliffs taking shots of you guys, and I think you had a storm jib and no main up for a while. What happened there? Just preserving the gear, or what?
No, well, we were racing to Hobart, so we decided to stick our nose around Tasman Island with 3 reefs in the main and the storm jib. The boat's been slightly modified since the original owner, and internal ballast has been taken out, so she leans over a lot more. So we figured we'd have a lash at it. 1 or 2 knockdowns pretty much changed that opinion.
Just upwind knockdowns.
Yeah, so we took the main down. We just started going sideways. It wasn't worth even trying to get around the corner anymore. We had another competitor, Wedgetail, lose its rig as well. The Wedgetail crew member's one of my oldest mates, and his husband was on this boat. So as much as people say we were standing by, we were actually really looking after ourselves, but also concerned about them, just making sure we had a a tiny amount of communication from them saying that everything was okay, especially when we saw them motoring out from under the peninsula at the same time that we had everything ready to go with our storm gear. And attempt number 2, which was successful 4 hours later, we were into Storm Bay and heading into the river.
Well, and then you had, and then I know I talked to, I forget who I talked to, but they said they were trying to get around you. And
we had all sorts going on there.
And then the main went back up.
Yeah.
And then you left away. Then you were gone, I think.
Yeah, that would have been Primitive Cool or Karumba.
Or Karumba. It was Karumba.
Yeah, Karumba, the blue curve.
Yeah.
We had a great tussle with about 6 boats trying to get around Tasman Island. There was Seraph, Nakata, ourselves, and hey, I would have preferred to be on a Swan, but hey, there's a comment in Australia that I'm not going to repeat.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what about the Brindy? I mean, 20 years in, she's done so much stuff. You've been running her for, what, 3-4 years now?
4 years now.
Yeah. Does she have a lot more of these in her? Or I mean, when does a boat get too tired to deal with the Bass Strait?
Jim Cooney has committed to the 70th Hobart for next year. And Mr. Cooney would like to continue sailing Brindabella. And so, in our opinion, yeah, she's got plenty more left in her. There's boats out here that have done 30 Hobarts, so Brindabella should be about the same, and there's no reason why not. We look after her to the extent that everything that needs to happen happens. She gets some new boats, she gets new sails, and that's Mr. Cooney's expectation of how we run the boat. It's a fantastic owner. He gives us what we need to get to Hobart.
And explain, I know you're when you look on the ratings, you guys sailed under pH, but not measured for IRC or CI or
the
whatever. The
boat was modified under the original owner, and that modification just takes our grandfathering out of the equation. So, unfortunately, our real IRC handicap is just a joke. We can't even sail to it.
Really?
So, Jim decided he wants to go for the trophies. We had a first in division last year and second overall in performance, and that was a whole bunch better than coming 70th.
Yeah, yeah. And this year, where'd you finish for PH? 9th or something like that?
9th or something. Yeah. We had a bit of downtime with turning around, and we also wrapped a spinnaker around the forestay, so that would have been about 45 minutes to an hour of doing 10 knots instead of 18 knots, which we were doing prior to that. So accidents happen. That's ocean racing, and we just deal with what we have. And all the crew saw me put my heart outside on my chest, and they saw what was called today a tantrum, but it was actually just me being really disappointed about letting it happen. And once I had my little hissy fit, we got back to business and we got the kite unwrapped, and the boys did an exceptional job getting it all down, and we didn't have to ditch the kite. It's still on board in a bag up there somewhere. And that's the main thing. Mr. Cooney has all his possessions, and that's how we try and do the race, is keep everything on board. I had 2 knives in my hands at the time, and it was pretty good footage of me running around on the foredeck, turka. All the boys were very afraid of their CEO that day. I'll give you that tip.
All right. Well, man, I love what you did. It's great for you to keep everyone informed. You got a lot of fans out there, and hopefully we'll get to see some of that, more of that video that you guys put together.
Oh, yeah. We've got the Italian stallion Giancarlo doing a video for Aeronautic Militaire, another group of people that I sail with in Italy. And then we have 2 other guys that were running around with GoPros. So, yeah, we're getting some video footage. And
nice one.
The anarchists will be seeing it for sure.
All right. Well, I've got some stuff I'll bring you later at the customs house if you poke your head out. And,
I think we'll be there.
I think you've earned yourself a little bit of swag. That's for sure, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Great.